Listen, whether you like it or not, there's plot holes in Naruto, and the creation of Boruto did nothing to help that problem, as both Boruto and Naruto give us contradicting information about very vital mechanisms within the confine of the Naruto universe. And while there is a lot of circumstances of this, genuinely the one that sticks with me the most is just Kaguya. Well, not even really just Kaguya, Ishiki, the entirety of the Otsutsukis, because we really got one explanation about the Otsutsukis in Naruto and a completely different one in Boruto. However, it's been a couple of years since this contradicting information came out from Boruto, and I think I finally found a way to fill in this plot hole. See, calling today's video a theory is kind of a stretch, because in essence, it's not a theory. I'm using little bits of information we have from both Naruto and Boruto to bring together an idea, a logical explanation of Naruto's plot being created using the small bits of information we have from both Naruto and Boruto. And hopefully by the time this video is done, Naruto's plot will have one less plot hole, and therefore will be just a smidge more cohesive. You see, my problem is that Kaguya should still be alive. Not sealed away, she should be in the fray. On top of Kaguya still being alive, if she is alive, she would be an ally for humanity. And on top of all of that, the way that we understand Kaguya versus her two sons in Hagoromo and Hamura, and that entire time period may be wrong. And like I said, this is not a theory. This is arguably the most cohesive thought I could bring together to explain away the mess that is the end of the war arc and everything that's happening with the Otsutsukis in Boruto. So I would usually tell you to buckle up and get your tinfoil hats. Today, I don't even think we need tinfoil hats, because today we're talking about how Kaguya is probably still alive. But before we get to reviving any rabbits, guys, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And while you guys are click-clacking away on those keyboards, guys, go ahead and follow my other channel, The Weeb Commander, where I talk any anime that's not Naruto. And if you're feeling super generous, guys, go ahead and follow my podcast, Otaku's Anonymous, where me and Danny Mata talk all things anime, Naruto included. Bai is a Japanese auction and shopping service. That sounds kind of complicated. Why would you, somebody watching this video in English, need that? Well, have you ever gone to buy something that's inherently Japanese, like a statue or a figurine or a poster or manga, and realize that it's way more expensive than it should be? Well, that's because a lot of Japanese products that are sold in places that aren't Japan are bought by a middleman, and that middleman, upon buying a product, marks up the price and sells it to you. Bai allows you to cut out that middleman. You cut out that middleman by bidding directly on Japanese products that can get shipped directly to your house. But I know what you're thinking.
Japanese website probably means the entire website's in Japanese.
And you, with a greater likelihood than not, do not read Japanese. But luckily, you don't have to worry about that, because not only is Bai incredibly easy to use, it's also available in a plethora of different languages. And you don't have to worry about that package not making it to your house, because Bai ships all over the world, like Oceania, Europe, North America, and a ton of other places. And not only do they ship all across the world, they ship using over a dozen different shipping services, meaning that upon checkout, you'll have options. And not only will you have shipping options, but they also accept a myriad of different payment options, allowing you to pay with things like PayPal, Zelle, Alipay. But on top of all of that convenience, Bai is offering you an incredible campaign today, where when you sign up for Bai using either the link in my description or my pinned comment, you will get a 2,000 yen coupon off whatever you order. On top of that, if you use Mercari, you will get 2,500 yen off your international shipping fee, and 3 coupons that completely nullify Bai's service charge. Now, these coupons are available for Mercari first-time users only, and are available between January 12th and January 31st. But these coupons can and should be stacked with that previous 2,000 yen coupon, giving you a total of 4,500 yen off your order. So what are you waiting for? Get your office looking like mine and head to Bai right now. So Kaguya, love her or hate her, she is an incredibly important character to the Naruto universe. She is the progenitor of chakra on Earth, said to have traveled between dimensions looking for a god tree, and to have found one on Earth. This god tree, which had fed off the blood of human conflicts for thousands of years, bore a chakra fruit. A chakra fruit that Kaguya picked and ate. And upon eating this chakra fruit, Kaguya was the sole holder of chakra on Earth, meaning that one moment Kaguya had the entirety of the Earth's chakra to herself. But Kaguya knew that eating this chakra fruit would lead to problems for her, as she wasn't one of the main branch family and therefore would be hunted down by the main branch family Otsutsukis for the blasphemous sin of eating their chakra fruit. And yet Kaguya mingled amongst humans, found a husband named Tenzo, and had 2 children, Hagoromo and Hamura. And Hagoromo and Hamura, though they didn't look much like humans, were the first humans ever born with chakra. But unfortunately, one day bandits from a rival village would try to take Kaguya hostage. However, as the person who holds the entirety of the world's chakra inside of herself, she was able to quickly kill them. However, upon seeing her startling power, Tenzo and the rest of the villagers that lived side by side with Kaguya became afraid of her, and thus Kaguya enacted Infinite Tsukiyomi and enslaved the entire world, the god tree sucking the chakra out of all the humans on Earth and making an army of white Zetsu. Now this was done for two reasons by Kaguya. One, because she didn't want to watch humanity rally against her, and two, because she understood she needed an army to fight back against the Otsutsuki who were coming to hunt her down. And the white Zetsu were exactly that army. But not wanting to watch the Earth get destroyed by this god tree, Hagoromo and Hamura, the only other two people with chakra on Earth, battled against Kaguya for months. And the battle became so intense that at one point, Kaguya absorbed the god tree and became the Ten Tails, with Hagoromo and Hamura battling against this version of their mother for months until they were able to seal her. With a planetary devastation Jibuka Tensei, Hagoromo and Hamura were able to use the sun and moon seals to seal their mother and technically the Ten Tails into the moon. The moon is not in low orbit, it's in very high up orbit. And while that's the story that we were given in Naruto, and within the confines of Naruto, that story made a little bit of sense. Nowadays, with the information that we have, that story makes no sense whatsoever. That story is finished up by saying that they were able to separate the Ten Tails from Kaguya, and therefore Hagoromo took the Ten Tails and brought it into himself, becoming the Ten Tails Jinchuriki. Hagoromo would then spend the rest of his life traveling across the Earth and sharing Ninshu with all of the remaining humans. Ninshu being the spiritual side of chakra, kind of like the great unconscious connection between all humans. Hagoromo figured that if everybody on Earth was tapped into this unconscious connection, that there would be peace forever. However, humans soon found out how to connect this Ninshu with their own physical power. And as chakra is a combination of spiritual and physical power, soon humans awoke to chakra. And soon after that, humans awoke to molding this chakra into ninjutsu. And while Hagoromo was walking around with the Ten Tails inside of him, the husk of the Ten Tails, the Geto Mazo, was on the moon with Kaguya, where Hamura went to live to keep an eye on both of them. And when Hagoromo came to the end of his life, he split the Ten Tails inside of him into nine-tailed beasts and put them in different parts of the globe, places where he felt that the Ten Tails would be comfortable and also where they could keep an eye on humanity. And there's really nothing wrong with that part. Sealing Kaguya, splitting her up from the Ten Tails, Hagoromo taking the Ten Tails inside of him, using creation of all things to make the tailed beast, that's all rock solid. It's really just the Kaguya bit that's the issue. See, Kaguya states that she was traveling between dimensions to find a god tree, when in Boruto it's been revealed to us that Otsutsukis actually travel in pairs with a Ten-Tails seedling, as a Ten Tails is simply a seedling for a god tree, and then the lower ranking Otsutsuki is fed to that seedling to create a god tree, at which point Infinite Tsukiyomi is enacted and the god tree pulls all of the life force from that planet, creates a chakra fruit that the higher ranking Otsutsuki eats, and then they leave. The reason that they're able to do this is because the lower ranking Otsutsuki has a karma marking. A karma marking works a bit like Orochimaru's curse mark, technique that allows the lower ranking Otsutsuki to return through somebody else as a vessel. So right there we have our first problem. In Kaguya's version of the story, she was traveling alone through dimensions looking for a god tree. But we know that Otsutsukis have to create their own god trees with the Ten Tails. And also, why was Kaguya traveling alone? As all Otsutsukis travel in pairs, a lower ranking one and a higher ranking one. And therefore the question really becomes, how did this god tree grow on Earth if there was no Otsutsukis? Better yet, if the god tree had bore a chakra fruit, why hadn't another Otsutsuki eaten it? And more importantly than all of that, who released humanity from Infinite Tsukiyomi? And more importantly, how is this chakra fruit even there with the Earth still existing as a living planet? That's like 4 problems off the bat. We learned later on in Boruto that Kaguya and Ishiki actually came to Earth with the Ten Tails that would later become the Nine-Tailed Beasts, and because Kaguya, the lower ranking Otsutsuki, didn't want to be fed to the Ten Tails, she ended up jumping Ishiki. And thus the story told in Boruto immediately contradicts the story told in Naruto. And more than anything, this would imply that Kaguya, for all intents and purposes, should have had a karma seal, as after all, she did travel to Earth with the explicit purpose of being eaten. And thus it would only make sense that Kaguya would prepare a karma marking somewhere either on Earth or off Earth to reincarnate into after being fed to the Ten Tails. And I know what you're saying,
Nick, it wouldn't matter if Kaguya had a karma seal or not, because she wasn't killed by Naruto and Sasuke.
She was only sealed in a brand new moon in her own dimension where nobody would be able to get to. Here's the thing, that got retconned. Yeah, Naruto and Sasuke killed Kaguya? Well, yes, obviously, the first time that Hagoromo and Hamura used the Chibuka Tensei against Kaguya, it didn't kill her. The second time did, and we learned this from Momoshiki's databook entry in the databook that came out after Naruto had finished, obviously because it's a databook entry about Momoshiki and he's in Boruto. But in Momoshiki's databook entry, it stated that Kaguya is dead, or at least died when sealed. So if hypothetically Kaguya did have a karma marking somewhere, she could reincarnate into it as she died. But then people bring up the point,
Okay, well then what is Black Zetsu if not a karma marking?
he's not a karma marking. Nothing about Black Zetsu operates anything like a karma marking. Yes, he is a manifestation of Kaguya's will, absolutely. But Kaguya canonically did not die when Hagoromo and Hamura sealed her the first time. So when people bring up things like,
Oh, well then how was Black Zetsu able to turn Madara into Kaguya?
I really just kind of say, I don't know, because it wouldn't be reincarnation. She was alive on the moon. If anything, it would be teleportation, which is a possibility because obviously Infinite Tsukiyomi had just been pulled off, which very easily could have broken the seal on Kaguya in the moon. There's genuinely really no need for Kaguya to manifest through Madara except for one thing. See, Kaguya and the Ten Tails are kind of the same thing, in that Kaguya had been the Ten Tails, had been sealed as the Ten Tails, had been separated from the Ten Tails. She has a relationship with that Ten Tails that no other Ten Tails in Cherokee has ever had. And that very same Ten Tails was within Madara. And thus it seems more likely to me that Black Zetsu was extracting the power of the Ten Tails to give to Kaguya, but instead of pulling the Ten Tails all the way out, kind of just made Madara the Ten Tails to put back into Kaguya, which kind of stands up when you consider the fact that after Kaguya is defeated, Madara's spit out. But all this is an elaborate way of me saying that I don't believe Black Zetsu is Kaguya's karma seal. Karma seals aren't sentient manifestations of will, even in Ishiki, who is said to be stronger than Kaguya. So how do we rectify the differences between these two timelines? Do we just disregard one of them entirely and go with the other one? Or do we find the key similarities between these two timelines and make them work together? See, that's what I'm gonna try and do right now. See, there's a couple of different iterations that people have tried to use to explain the differences between these timelines, and they really break down into two camps. Either Kaguya can come back or she can't. See, some believe that Kaguya and Ishiki descended down to Earth with their 10 tails, and Kaguya was actually fed to the 10 tails and created a chakra tree. This would be the first chakra tree that she ate the chakra fruit of. But if Kaguya was fed to the 10 tails and was the person who made the chakra tree, how would she eat the chakra fruit of that tree? Well, some people believe that Kaguya, after being fed to the 10 tails, had a karma marking on Earth that she used to reincarnate through. She then, with this fresh reincarnation, attacked and bisected Ishiki, eating the chakra fruit, but waging a war against the main family of the Otsutsuki. However, even though she thought she killed Ishiki, Ishiki climbs into the brain of Jigen and plants a karma marking of sorts on him. Now, technically, this theory would have Kaguya using her karma marking. And regardless of how many karma markings you have, once you use one of them, the rest of them disappear, which would imply that Kaguya, before her first resealing or her death, would have to place another karma marking in order to come back to life. The other theory states that Kaguya actually jumped Ishiki before the 10 tails was turned into a divine tree, and it was actually Kaguya who fed Ishiki's legs to the 10 tails that created the chakra tree. See, because we know that Ishiki was cut in half. He was only a torso when he floated into Jigen's ear, and we never found out what happened with Ishiki's legs. It's entirely possible that Kaguya could have fed these legs to the 10 tails and grown the small little chakra tree we see in Naruto. You see, because the stronger the Otsutsuki fed to a 10 tails, the stronger the divine tree and the stronger the chakra fruit. This is a massive talking point in Boruto. And while Ishiki is arguably the strongest Otsutsuki we've seen yet outside of Shibai, only his legs wouldn't make the world's greatest chakra tree. And this is where the idea starts to piece itself together. You see, because once again, we have the question, in either of these circumstances, why wasn't the rest of humanity placed under Infinite Tsukiyomi? Well, to use Infinite Tsukiyomi, you need to have a Rinne Sharingan. And we know from Kaguya's story in Naruto that she awoke to a Rinne Sharingan after eating her first chakra fruit. And we know from Ishiki's reincarnation through Jigen that he doesn't have a Rinne Sharingan, meaning that prior to eating the chakra fruit, neither Kaguya or Ishiki could place the entire world into Infinite Tsukiyomi to then become Zetsus through the divine tree. On top of this, there's a possibility that Kaguya, after feeding the legs to Ishiki, created a divine tree that wasn't capable of enslaving an entire planet, and simply made a small and relatively weak chakra fruit. At least relatively weak as far as chakra fruits go. But within this idea, the idea where Kaguya feeds Ishiki's legs to the 10 tails Kaguya would still have a karma marking. While some people say that because she ate a chakra fruit, her karma marking would disappear, that's not how that works. That's never been explicitly stated in any piece of canon. And honestly, this makes a lot of sense to me. The planet wasn't enslaved because Kaguya didn't have the power to do so, and neither did the divine tree that she created, only using half of Ishiki. Because even though Ishiki is a main branch family member, he himself had never awoken a Rinne Sharingan, which largely implies he's never eaten a chakra fruit. Like, yes, Madara was able to awaken the Rinne Sharingan, but that's only because the 10 tails that he absorbed and fully connected with was partially Kaguya. The same can be said for Hagoromo. Even Momoshiki, who's consumed a bunch of chakra fruits, doesn't have a Rinne Sharingan. He has a Rinnegan in his forehead, but it's not a Rinne Sharingan. The only people we've ever seen with a Rinne Sharingan are Kaguya and those related to Kaguya through either absorbing her 10 tails or being her children. My theory about why Kaguya is the only person with a Rinne Sharingan is because Kaguya ate the only chakra fruit created from a member of the main family. I mean, think about it. Momoshiki has eaten, I think, somewhere close to 12 chakra fruits. Why doesn't he have a Rinne Sharingan? Yes, his Rinnegan is red and therefore is often mistaken as a Rinne Sharingan, but it's just a Rinnegan. Why is it that Kaguya, who only ate one chakra fruit, got a stronger dojutsu? It's almost like she did something that no other Otsutsuki ever did. Kaguya understands what she did is wrong and that she more likely than not will be hunted down for it, but continues living a relatively domestic life with the humans on Earth. And this is mostly because she's revered as the rabbit goddess. Amongst humans, she's adored and worshipped. She finds a husband in Tenzo and has children who are the first humans on Earth with chakra. And Kaguya enjoys her life until it backfires. See, when Kaguya demonstrates her massive strength to the humans around her, she becomes fear. She becomes the very symbol of what she saw the main family as. Fear. And Kaguya, not wanting to be feared, but also not wanting to die, decides if humanity won't love her, she'll make them into an army to fight against the Otsutsuki, who are surely coming to hunt her down. And mind you, they absolutely were. What is weird though is that there's about 2,000-ish years between this happening with Kaguya and the 4th Great Shinobi World War. And we know after the conclusion of the 4th Great Shinobi World War, it takes about 15 years for Momoshiki to show up and be like, well, yeah, I have to clean up Kaguya's mess. And while one could argue that Kaguya's mess is the 4th Great Shinobi World War and her not being able to bring back all the 9-tailed beasts to recreate the divine tree and eat the chakra fruit, wouldn't Kaguya's mess also be everything that happened 2,000 years ago? Like, the real thing that the Otsutsuki were upset with Kaguya about was eating the chakra fruit and betraying Ishiki. And if they were aware of the fact of that, then they were probably also aware of the fact that she got sealed in the moon. So wouldn't that be the bigger mess? Why wait until she reappears on Earth and tries again to clean up her mess? Momoshiki could have tried his ploy of trying to catch all the 9 tails to recreate the 10 tails to make a chakra fruit at any time. Why wait? I just don't get it. Unless, of course, Kaguya understood that it would take thousands of years for the Otsutsuki to find her on Earth, which is quite possibly why she was complacent with living a life with her children. As Otsutsukis are immortal beings, Kaguya could have been trying to spread chakra with the Earth to make them the warriors against the Otsutsuki. I mean, it's not like Kaguya, upon seeing her sons, decided to bash in their skulls because they had chakra. I mean, Kaguya didn't enjoy them. She was angry at the fact that her sons had chakra and were growing in power, as she wanted to be the sole image of power on Earth, but it's still a possibility that her original plan might have been,
hey, let's make this one planet really powerful so we can fight against the Otsutsuki when they come to take their god.
However, when she realized that that dream could no longer be realized, she decided to enact Infinite Tsukiyomi with her Rinne Sharingan. And as we know for a fact that 10 tails continue to exist even after they've turned into divine trees, Kaguya most likely fused with the 10 tails that she used to create the first divine tree after it was done making its kind of weak fruit. I guess not weak fruit. Once again, Rinne Sharingan. And Hagoromo and Hamura, seeing what Kaguya was trying to do with the Earth, trying to make all of humanity into white Zetsu, launched into combat against her. But as Kaguya is the only 10-tailed Jinchuriki we've ever seen actually eat a chakra fruit, Kaguya was not only able to be humanoid, but also in the shape of the 10 tails. However, eventually she was sealed, and the 10 tails was extracted from her by Hagoromo and split into the 9-tailed beasts. And now, once again, assuming that Black Zetsu is not Kaguya's comma marking, that would still imply up to this point, because she hasn't died yet technically, that she should have a karmic resurrection somewhere else. Something that neither Hagoromo or Hamura would know anything about. As for all intents and purposes, they believe the story that Kaguya told them about traveling to Earth alone. Because think about what this would mean for Kaguya. It would serve way more purpose for Kaguya to trick all of humanity into believing that she's the only Otsutsuki. After all, she was revered as the rabbit goddess. She wanted to be the leader of humanity. And as the sole wielder of chakra, at least for a little bit, it wouldn't do her any service to be like,
oh yeah, by the way, I'm one of the weaker ones of an alien race that's coming here to destroy us all.
So the long and short of what I'm saying is, Kaguya most likely is able to reincarnate. Unless, of course, the powers of the Rinne Sharingan allowed her karma marking to be all weird and woogity like Black Setsu.
But Nick, if Kaguya can reincarnate, why haven't we seen her again?
She was canonically killed 15 years ago. Why isn't she pulled back up to Earth? Well, it took Momoshiki about 15 years to get to Earth to cover up for Kaguya's mistake. And that's if you ignore the other 2,000 years that Momoshiki could have covered up for Kaguya's mistake. And considering the fact that the Otsuzukis can travel between dimensions, which means that their universe is exponentially large than any universe that humans can understand, and the fact that Sasuke has spent the last 15 years traveling through dimensions with the power of his 6-tome Rinnegan looking for traces of the Otsutsuki, implies that interdimensional travel looking for one planet is very difficult. Also, who's to say that a large part of Kaguya's power wasn't derived from being fused with the Ten Tails? I mean, we know this is the form that she used to battle against Hagoromo and Hamura, and once again when she battled against Naruto and Sasuke. And it's not like she would reincarnate with the power of the Ten Tails, because the Ten Tails still exists on Earth in the form of 9-tailed beasts. So when you think about it, a significantly weakened Kaguya finding Earth in 15 or so years, when Momoshiki at full power took anywhere between 2,000 and 15 years, is a lot to ask. Here's why I say that Kaguya would be an ally to humanity, however. See, if Kaguya were to hypothetically reincarnate, she would still be hunted down by the Otsutsuki. After all, jumping a main branch family member and then sacrificing his legs to a Ten Tails to make a chakra fruit that you eat as a lower ranking Otsutsuki and then losing to humanity twice? Really bad look. Momoshiki, when he was on Earth, only talked diminutively about Kaguya, as he's a main branch family member. I bet you every single main branch family member wants to get their hands on Kaguya. And even if she was hypothetically still sealed and not dead, wouldn't it make sense that the Otsutsuki would go looking for her and break her out of that seal so they can punish her themselves? But you know how the saying goes, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And Kaguya is still technically the progenitor of chakra on Earth. While she was trying to build an army out of humans, she was trying to build that army to fight off the Otsutsuki. But now those very same humans are finding themselves in battle against the Otsutsuki. And thus they're essentially exactly what Kaguya wanted. A force that she could work side by side with in the battle against the main branch family. And when you think about the fact that the Boruto manga just introduced Shibai Otsutsuki, a man who's eaten so many chakra fruits that he ascended from his body and entered a spiritual plane, and he's about to be the big bad of Boruto, humanity needs help. And an artificial karma seal created by Amado and Momoshiki are not going to be enough to go up against Shibai Otsutsuki. And while obviously there's always a possibility that Naruto becomes the next Sage of Six Paths by absorbing Ishiki's Ten Tails, which, by the way, straight up do not have an explanation for how Ishiki got a second Ten Tails there. Does it make sense? Probably will never make sense. Did him and Kaguya bring 2 Ten Tails? Did the first Ten Tails have a child? Is it a part of Kaguya? I actually kind of like that last one. Like a part of the Ten Tails that got split off, and that's why it's like a juvenile Ten Tails, because it was grown from the cells of the previous Ten Tails, and that's how Jigen was able to do it, because obviously the Otsutsukis have the technology to create Ten Tails. I mean, they need to because they use them as seedlings, but it's not like Jigen would have access to that kind of technology, so maybe Amado used the cells from the Ten Tails to regrow this juvenile Ten Tails, but because that Ten Tails is inherently tied into Kaguya, that honestly could be how Kaguya gets reincarnated. And and I completely forgot to mention that there's also another theory going around based off the 2 Otsutsuki symbols we saw in the Kara hideout that have been destroyed. Now that Shibai Otsutsuki has been revealed to be the big bad, and it's been revealed that his body was abandoned on Earth, as Amado was able to use Shibai's body to give Shinjutsu to the cyborgs he created, it's entirely possible that Shibai was the person who created the first chakra tree that Kaguya was looking for, and for some reason, like the divine tree created 2 fruits, or he ascended before he needed to eat the fruit, he left that fruit on Earth. But if you go with this theory, it messes a lot of things up. But just figured I should throw it out there at the end in case that's your favorite theory. But what do you guys think? I feel as though this is the best possible explanation for the differences in the plot between Naruto and Boruto. I feel as though it takes from both of these tellings and brings them together in one cohesive story. But you guys tell me what you think happened with Kaguya in the comments below. And while you're down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to my page, and hit that noti bell. Follow my podcast. Just do it. I want you to listen to my voice, 24/7. It's not that I'm trying to hypnotize you or get you to join a cult. I would never do that, is what legally I have to say. Follow my podcast.